You've waited all summer, and it's finally here. High school football is back in action. Join Brian Samudio, Alex Margulies, and Dan Gustin for the inside scoop on the year ahead. The players you want to watch and the teams you don't want to miss. Dolan Auto Group's Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Sonic, America's Drive-In. Starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Reno High School, the champions of the 4A North from last year, and home to Dolan Auto Group's Friday Night Rivals Countdown to Kickoff shows presented by Sonic. I'm Brian Samudio, Alex Margulies, and the Hall of Famer again, Dan Gustin, joining us once again here on the field of the Northern Champions. Guys, can you believe, Alex, high school football's ready to start?
We always say this, how crazy the summer flies by, but high school football is back, and I tell you, I think this year is going to be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of parity. I think the talent level right now in Northern Nevada is at one of its peaks, so I, for one, can't wait to see the ball get kicked off.
Dan, a great schedule on Friday Night Rivals once again this year.
And you look at the teams, and I've talked to the coaches as you guys have, the one thing they keep saying, as even as the teams may be matched, they're all young. There's a lot of young spots on teams that need to be filled and players that need to step forward.
They went 11-3 last year. They won the Northern Championship with a victory over Reno High School, and this is their home turf. Here are Tony Amantia and the Reed Raiders.
You guys are the reigning champs. Do you feel like there's kind of that expectation to have that target on your back going in?
You know, I think that's to be expected, but I think, pretty much, every team out here expects to be in that game, and whether or not you get there or not, that's up to you and your quality of kids and your coaching and staying healthy. So, our expectations don't change. We're just going to keep playing Reed football.
Senior year, I know you guys have a lot of turnover this season, but what excites you about the group coming back?
Freshman year, we dealt with a lot of adversity, that's for sure. 3-6 season. Going on to a JV year, going 8-1, and then, just building that team chemistry really means a lot to me. And, this is my family. Coming from a season like that, you really build a family, and these are my brothers. I can't wait for an exciting senior year.
Stepping into Cameron Emerson's shoes, what kind of expectations do you have?
We don't put expectations on it as an individual. We're more of a team deal, and I thrive off the rest of my team. And filling Cameron's shoes is not necessarily my goal. Cameron was great. And I've always looked up to Cameron. We worked well together, but we're not necessarily filling an individual's shoes. We're filling up a team. So we're a team. We're a team, and that's just the way we look at it.
Our numbers aren't quite what they were last year. I mean, I think everyone knows we had a really awesome senior class, like over 30 guys and a lot of returners, and so we returned basically 3 starters for our whole entire team. And so we're going to be very young, but we have some quality kids in all positions, and we'll expect to compete.
Second year with Coach Amantia behind the helm. What's his message been to you guys?
Coach Amantia preaches a lot about character. Character's a big one, and Coach Amantia is about our character, our personality. Football is kind of second. He's more about how we are as men, how we grow up.
And Amantia is a great coach. He knows exactly what to do in every situation, and we're great learning from him, whether it's in the weight room, on the field, or just as being a person.
We know that adversity is going to hit. We know that things aren't always going to go our way, and you just got to learn how to push through it. And the key to life in almost any profession is the ones that can handle adversity and keep working and not just be stuck in a daze. They're the ones that have success. And so that's kind of what I try to teach these kids is it's not always going to go your way, but we got to keep working.
We got some of the greatest chemistry I've ever been around. A lot of intelligent individuals on the team, and that comes into play a lot on the field. They make smart decisions. Like Braden said, we're not the biggest team, but we do have the most heart.
All right, guys, 11-3 last year, lost to Gorman in that state title game. But is the cupboard bare for Tony Amantia? This team lost 30 seniors from last year's squad, the majority of their starting lineup. Dan?
Well, you start a quarterback, Baylor Horning, who has good experience, 6'2", 200 pounds. He can throw the ball and he can run. The running back position is starting over because they're running back by committee this year. Champ Robertson will get a lot of the calls, but he plays both ways. So without him, I don't know how far they go.
My thing is, when it comes down to Reed, these guys always have strength in the trenches, and that's really where they have built this program into the powerhouse that it has been over the last decade. I think that continues. They're a well-organized group under Tony Amantia. What an incredible first season for him last year. I mean, to be able to go and beat some of the teams that they did, and to lose Ernie Howard and then still win the North. Target's still on their back, but I think it is going to be a little bit more of a rebuilding year than they're used to, I think, at Reed.
Raiders are definitely going to be tested right out of the blocks August 24th at Bishop Manogue. And then how about Oak Ridge? The Trojans from El Dorado Hills, California, one of the powerhouses of Northern California, will come here to Sparks. Coming up next on Friday Night Rivals, Countdown to Kickoff show brought to you by the Dolan Auto Group and presented by Sonic. We will check out Dan Avancino and the Reno Huskies. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff here at Reed High School. We're going to talk about the runner-ups last year in the 4A division in Northern Nevada. That's the Reno Huskies and Dan Avancino's squad, hungry again from last year, Alex.
Yeah, and this is a team that usually competes in the North. And under Coach Avancino, I know they're looking at a younger squad than normal this year, but one of the most creative organizations, I think, in the area when it comes to play calling and their planning week to week. Always an entertaining product on the field, that's for sure.
And Alex, you're right about them being young. That's what you talked about them. That's all they talk is young, young, young. But their JV team last year was undefeated. So those guys don't have a lot of reps as starters in the varsity, but they have a lot of experience, and they have experience winning together. That may be a big key for them.
Let's take a look at the Reno Huskies.
Discipline, outwork, unity, that's what we're all about, man. We just work hard together, and we just grind through everything together. So that's it, unity.
Coach, new year of Reno Husky football, what's the expectation?
Really the expectation for us is day to day. That sounds really boring, but the focus has got to be on each and every day. You know, we're working with high school young men, and there's so many variables in their lives, a lot of variable in our coaches' lives as well. So we focus on a day at a time. You know, this time of year, everybody's excited. So it's not a matter of, but we don't control that future event. We feel like if we take care of the process now, those events in the future will take care of themselves.
Kind of break down your team. I know you guys lost a big piece in Brandon Cajo, but what does this new team look like?
You know, we had a lot of senior leadership last year. Our quarterback, Sawyer Jaksic. We had Siausi Finau, who's a 3-year starter for us. Obviously, Brandon Cajo. We're young, and we need a lot of experience. So this preseason for us, these first 4 games are going to be critical for us. I do like the fact that we seem very team-oriented. There's not a lot of alphas, so we have to work together kind of as a pack to get things done. And so I've liked the dynamic I've seen so far this summer, but we have a long ways to go.
Coach talked a lot about the first 4 games being really important for you guys and finding your identity and just establishing who you guys are. What are your thoughts about the first 4?
It's going to be a process, you know. We got to go play by play, rep by rep, second by second. You know, we got to learn from all of our mistakes, and we will, because our coaches are, you know, they work hard on film. They make us watch film, and they work hard at that, and we work hard too. So, yeah, it's a process. We'll get there.
You're playing for one of the best coaches here in the North, and Dan Avancino. What's his football mind like, and what's your relationship with him?
Oh man, he's like another father figure, man. You can depend on him for anything you need, you know. And he's obviously a great coach. We also obviously have Worthen and Sellers, and they're great men too. And that's what makes this program is them. It starts with them, and we just do the rest.
You guys were knocking at the door of a championship last year. What would it mean to you to make it back there your senior season?
Yeah, it was upsetting. So, you know, we're just hungry. We're hungry for more, and we want to get to the same spot we were last year and finish.
What does it mean to you to wear Reno Husky across your chest?
It's a privilege, man. You know, it's an honor to go to this school and play for a coach like Dan and Coach Sellers and Coach Worthen, and just the school, the community, you know. Yeah, it's just an honor.
A couple of weeks away from kickoff, you guys, you know, definitely one of the favorites in the North. What should people expect and think about heading into this season?
We're going to work hard. We're going to work together, and we're just going to go with the game plan, you know, whatever coaches put us out there to play for week in and week out, and we're going to follow that and trust them and just work as hard as we can.
Well, 12-1 last season for Reno, the only loss of the year to Reed in the championship game. And you talk about Dan Avancino. Dan, he's a mad scientist, and that's an affectionate name. He just knows how to scheme against teams.
He does, and he's going to have to do a lot of that this year because of what we were talking about in the first segment about them being young. They're going to have to scheme people. They have to get leverage on people, and the lineups and how he puts people on the field are going to be very important. With Reno High School, you've got students historically who are very smart. They pick up schemes quickly, and he changes from week to week.
Reno Huskies will open up at Turlock, California, and then August 31st, they will be at Galena to take on the Grizzlies. Coming up next on Countdown to Kickoff, brought to you by the Dolan Auto Group and presented by Sonic. We'll check out the guys up on the hill, the McQueen Lancers. They're next. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff, presented by the Dolan Auto Group and Sonic here at Reed High School, defending champions of the Northern 4A. Now moving on with our High Desert preview, we're going to move into McQueen, maybe one of the proudest programs in Northern Nevada. Jim Snelling trying to bring these guys back down to a glory of past.
You know, and I think this might be the year he can do it. He's got returning players at all three levels. When you look at his defense and the line, the linebackers and the secondary, his offensive line, he's really proud of. He's got three starters back. The key guy up front is their center, Jake Jimenez.
Let's hear from the McQueen Lancers.
Let's run. Coach, what expectations do you have for this team this season?
Well, you know what, we've got a great group of kids. They've worked real hard all summer long. You know what, great senior leadership. We've got a lot of returning starters on both sides of the ball. And our quarterback that won the starting job midway through the year is coming back. Our running back's back. So we're excited about the prospects of this season.
I have very high expectations for this team. We did great freshman and JV year. Last year we had a little bump in the road, but I feel like we're going to come back strong.
Stallworth in his second drive at quarterback, drops back to pass. Will find Kolb in the flat, gets some room to run, gets across the 50, across the 40, down inside the 30. One man to beat. Kolb inside the 10, into the end zone. Touchdown, McQueen.
I want to leave everything I got out there and fight for the boys back there. And I'm just going to leave it all out there and try my hardest every time. Never give up on the play and make sure they know I got their back. So everything's coming together. Everybody is on the page with everything. And I feel like we got a really good shot this year. And everybody's good. And we're going to get it done.
What does it mean to be able to wear McQueen across your chest?
It means a lot, especially, coming from, my family and my brother being here and filling his footsteps. So it means a lot to me.
What are you most looking forward to with this group of guys this year?
Honestly, just getting out on the field and getting going. I mean, right now, the last 4 days we've been in the gym, and they're chomping at the bit to get going. We've worked real hard, like I said, all summer long, just like everybody has. And at this point, we're kind of tired of going against each other and looking to go and get somebody in a different color jersey.
How has this air quality been impacting practices so far this summer?
Well, you know what? I mean, it's been a situation, especially the last couple of weeks, where it's been kind of the talk of the school, especially with our players, our athletes throughout the school. Is everybody checks it hour to hour. They go to airnow.gov and look at what the air quality index is. And our district mandate is 125. And so typically, if we're right around 125 or even 122 right before school gets out, we're having to make adjustments. And the kids have adjusted really well. I mean, we've got some kids that are getting here at 6 in the morning and aren't leaving until 7:30 at night. And the coaches and kids just take it in stride and say, you know what, it's our philosophy of overcoming obstacles and adapting and making sure we're successful.
All right, this is a large senior class, as Coach Snelling has told us about, but right at the top of it, J.D. Cobb at running back, just a bruising runner who can run around you as well, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a case that he's the best running back in Northern Nevada this year. Peyton Dixon, I think, also up there from Bishop Manogue, but Cobb, a guy that's committed to play for the Air Force Academy. He is a guy that is incredibly talented, and if he has a big season, I think it could help lead this team to the places that Jim Snelling wants to take them and bring McQueen back to the top. When you talk about Cobb, such an interesting backstory. Came here with Nevada running backs coach David White. He's his guardian. He's based out of Las Vegas. We were talking about it, Dan. He's a kid that's bounced around a lot and a chance to actually get a little stability here this season in Northern Nevada.
It's the only time in his 4 years in high school that he's gone to the same school 2 years in a row. So I think you're right, Alex. Stability will help him a great deal. He was a great back last year. He's going to be better this year.
It's not going to just be Cobb back there too. Can't forget about Dominic Stallworth, the quarterback he basically can squat a Buick and wants to run over you at quarterback as well. They'll test themselves at Enterprise, California on the 24th, and then we'll play Del Campo out of California here in Reno on the 31st. Coming up on Countdown to Kickoff, brought to you by the Dolan Auto Group. Recruiting has gone wild in Northern Nevada. We'll talk with some of the top coaches in the area about why some of the biggest programs in the country are checking out the 775. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff here at Reed High School, home of the Northern 4A champions. Now we're going to get away from our previews for just a moment. Something we have to talk about is the exposure of recruiting in Northern Nevada. We've seen Notre Dame, we've seen Alabama and Michigan invading Northern Nevada and trying to get some of this talent, and they're getting it to ship out and go to some of these big programs.
Yeah, it's been great to see the amount of eyes that are coming through and getting a look at the kids in this area. And to me, I really feel like we're entering a golden age when it comes to recruiting in this area. It started with Brandon Cajo and Cade McNamara, those two going to the two of the biggest schools in the country, Cajo at Alabama now, and McNamara over at Michigan. But I think it's wonderful, that the kids are getting the opportunity right now to get as many looks as they are. A lot of help from the community when you talk about a guy like Duke Williams, the Hug High grad and played in Nevada and in the NFL, coming back, helping out kids, and then the Reno Heat as well. We've seen them really help get a lot of exposure for kids in the area, and we had a chance to talk to some of the coaches in the area about recruiting and how it's changed. Here's what they had to say.
I'm going to tell you right now, we owe the world to Brandon Cajo and to Cade McNamara, because those two brought in the big-time programs. I've seen the recruiting in this area just increase dramatically, and it's because those two kind of got us back on the map. And then you got Peyton Dixon and all the other kids in the area that are just following up with offer after offer. But I think once the buzz came that there are dudes in this area, I think it took off, and it's been great to see.
I think the number one thing that's happened is kids in our area have gone out and done things outside of the Reno area and Sparks area. So they've traveled down to passing tournaments in California. They've gone to camps up at Southern Oregon. They've gone to camps at Boise. Guys like Cade McNamara have played in the Elite 11 and done some things that have brought attention to our area about where he's from or they're from. And so I think what that does is a kind of a ripple effect.
Yeah, it really is amazing to see just the exposure. Dan, you and I have covered high school sports for a few days here in Northern Nevada. Have you ever seen this type of exposure to our kids on a national level?
Not to this depth. You can go back to Dave Wyman when he went to Stanford way back from Worcester High School, and some individual guys, but Alex said it first, you echoed him, and I think you're absolutely right. Exposure is the key word, because it's not only the brand name guys you're talking about now, but it's the other players, the secondary players. Jace Billingsley, for example, has a great chance of making Detroit Lions. He got a chance playing at a smaller school. So parents and players find out that recruiting isn't only the top schools, the top 5, but there are other places they can go. Opens opportunities for education and for playing. I think it's great.
Getting that scholarship, it doesn't matter sometimes if you play at Oregon, Oregon Tech, or wherever, as long as you get the scholarship and get a chance to play at the next level. Coming up next on Countdown to Kickoff, we'll get back into our previews of the High Desert League. We'll check out the Spanish Springs Cougars next. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff here as we continue through the High Desert League. Spanish Springs just seems like it's a program that's finally starting to turn a corner. Won their, second playoff game in program history last year, Alex?
Yeah, I think when you use a word to talk about Spanish Springs, I think momentum is one of them. We felt that when we were out at practice, checking out the preview of this team. I think they're a confident group and a team that wants to make their mark here in the North.
Check out Eric Borja and the Spanish Springs Cougars.
What's the attitude coming in after a hard summer? You've kind of had to adjust to different practice schemes and what you're allowed to do, but what's been the attitude?
You know what, we're on schedule. We're doing the things that we set forth in our plan at the end of last year. Had a great off season in the weight room. I've done some 7-on-7 stuff this off season as well, and just now kind of grinding through the summer and taking care of that. So our attitude right now is we're doing the work that's needed for the upcoming season.
Okay, so what was the plan? After last year, you finished 6-6, you lose to Reno, who had arguably the best player in the state, in Brandon Cajo. What was the plan going in?
Well, that's the big picture right there. The teams that we need to kind of be more competitive with and hopefully, achieve a victory over Reno and Reed and McQueen still and obviously Hug in our league. Those are the teams that we need to get better at and play and hopefully win a game. So our attitude was, what do we need to do to get ready for those games to hopefully get us farther along in the playoffs?
What is the culture at Spanish Springs right now? You won a playoff game last year, fell in the second round, but things are changing.
Yeah, we're trying to get better, and it's nothing but win and hard work. It's not about talent, it's just about getting things done and just working as hard as you can.
It's getting better because we're winning more games, we're getting better as a team, and us getting our second playoff win last year, that was good, and we're happy with that, but this year we're looking to improve on that.
Spanish Springs just seems like one of those schools that just has a lot of community pride. What's it like when you put Cougars across your chest?
It's amazing because our whole area supports us. They all know, they all want us to win. We all want to win. We all got to be positive. We all love it. It's home. I love representing my team, and we're a group of great guys, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
We're just proud because we know that this whole community around this area supports us, and we're here to support our community and do what we can.
How close do you think you are to changing the culture and creating that winning culture out here?
You know what? It's a model that we need to start doing, obviously, and we're year 5 now in the program. So we've done the things that are necessary to get us ready for this upcoming season. Now it's a matter of us getting out there and actually doing it. You can talk about it all you want, but you actually have to perform it on the field. And all these little things that we do in the offseason, those things matter just as much as a game does. So if we can accomplish those things, hopefully the season will take us where we need to go.
So the Cougars 6-6 last year. They did make the postseason, beat Bishop Manoga first round 22-20, 15 seniors and 42 on varsity. But Eric Borja's got well over 100 kids in the program out there. It's a big school, biggest school last time I checked in Washoe County, Dan. So they should have those type of numbers.
They do have numbers. For Eric Borja, it's his 5th year. It's time for him now. He's got his program in. He knows what he wants them to do. They've got some young guys mixed with returners. Tristan Zabo, who is a talented quarterback, and their receiver, Jordan Dudek, is a guy who's 6'2", and he can run. He is fast, he can get away from people, he can run over people. He was in a sophomore camp in Oregon, and he was the most valuable player in the skills department. You're talking about a big guy that can catch the ball, so if Zabo can't run it and have success, he can throw it to people.
Now, Alex, you and I were out at practice, and one of the most physically impressive young men by far was Jackson LeDuc.
Yeah, and I think the Cougars are excited about their defense. I think they're excited about the way that they're playing defense, the way they're hunting the football. I think that's going to be a strength of theirs, and I think it's going to be a piece that's really going to keep them in a lot of games this year.
Our countdown to kickoff High Desert League preview continues after the break. We'll head up to North Reno and check out the Hug Hawks. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff as our High Desert League preview show continues. We move to North Reno and the Hug Hawks. Rough year last year for Carl Legrone and his guys, but he's got some beef coming back, Dan.
He really does. He's got 8 guys on the roster who are 210 to 285. So they've got some beef if they can keep his defense off the field. They don't have a lot of guys out, and it's kind of the history at Hug High School. They wear down the fourth quarter, they have trouble, but if they can keep their offense and he can control the game, they might be in a lot more games this year than they were in the past.
And I think where they don't have a ton of numbers, where they do have finally now for the first time in a couple years is experience. They've got a handful of guys that have played for 3 seasons now for Coach Legrone. It's been his program now for a couple of years, and you had mentioned before with Eric Borja going to his 5th season. Now you want to start kind of seeing those results. Legrone had immediate success, then he's had to kind of rebuild these last couple of years. How does it pan out this year? I can't see this team going 0-10 again.
Let's take a look at the Hug Hawks.
How's practice been so far this summer? What expectations do you have for your team this season?
Practice has been pretty well. We've had a pretty good turnout throughout the summer, especially with our older guys. We expect to lean on our guys up front and get the job done and compete in every game.
How many seniors do you have returning on this season's roster, and what do you expect from them this season in their final year?
We have 11 or 12 seniors. This is their 3rd year starting, so we're expecting a lot from them. And they've been dedicated all year, and they want to go out on a high note. So we're expecting our seniors to lead us to where we need to be.
Going into your senior season, what expectations do you have for your team this year?
Just play hard, work hard every day in the weight room, communicate with each other in the film room, and help each other fix our mistakes.
What does it mean to wear Hug across your chest, Hug Hawks?
I take very good pride in it. To me, it's like one of the best feelings when I represent my own school and represent it with positive things.
How important is it for your team to play with, heart and character when you're going up against tough teams, guys that are being looked at by Division I schools?
Character is everything. We try to, be a family out here, do the right things on and off the field. And if somebody, is looking at his kid from a different school and we're playing against them, that's a chance for you to shine, and so they can be looking at you as well. So that's what we preach to our kids every week.
What does it mean to wear Hug Hawks across your chest?
It means a lot because ever since I moved, I started playing football with them, and it became more of a family. Like, we got each other's back in the field, out in the field, and in the classroom, everywhere. More like brothers.
Is there a motto that you guys have as a team, or is there any, what do you use?
Yeah, we have a code, our code green, unity, discipline, toughness, and swarm. We want to be united, we want to be disciplined. We want to be tough, and we want to swarm to the ball offensively and defensively. Just be ready for an exciting season. Like I said, we're ready to go. We got a lot of growing to do, but it's going to be exciting, and we're ready to play.
Now, Dan, I think what we really need to touch on here when it comes to Hug, you talked about it being Carl Legrone's 3rd year, but installing his philosophy into his team.
The thing about it is he teaches up there. He's on campus. I've been on campus seeing him interacting with the players. He wants them to perform on the field. Anybody wants to win, but it's not the most important thing for Carl Legrone. It's not how his players act on the field. It's how they act as men off the field. And you can't give higher credence for anything that a coach can teach people is to be men, not only while they're in school, but when they graduate. I think Carl Legrone does that in spades.
Now, Alex, you and I had Duke Williams, Hug High School graduate, on our ESPN radio show just a week ago, and he loves what Carl Legrone is doing, especially at Hug High School, because there are some challenges off the field at Hug.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it's talked about a lot, but I think Coach Legrone understands these kids, and I think that's a really important thing. And I think it's great that guys like Duke Williams are coming back. They're coming back to Hug High School and serving as role models for a lot of these kids to say, look, here's what I did wrong. Here's what I wish I would have done differently. Here's what you can do to be successful and go to college and do all these different things and have success both on the field and off of it.
We have one team moving up, one team moving down in the 4As. We're going to talk to the team that's moving out of the 4A division and into the 3A division. That's North Valley next. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff here at Reed High School, our High Desert League show. But now we're going to break away from that for just a moment because we have a couple of moves this year in the 4As. We're going to talk about Wooster later on, but North Valley's Panthers moving from the 4A to the 3A. They haven't had a lot of success in the 4A. Dan, your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a great move. It takes a lot of courage by administrators to do that because everybody wants to play at the highest level, and they talk about, we're not competing against the guys at the highest level, but I think Anthony Doucette and the administration did a great move by moving to 3A because at North Valley's, they don't have a lot of success in winning. I don't care what program it is, and kids don't get inspired when they don't win. So I think moving down can give them some assurity that they're going to have more winning seasons. More winning seasons is going to breed success. I wouldn't be surprised in a few years they're not moving back up to 4A.
Let's talk to the North Valley's Panthers about their move to the 3A division.
Let's go, Coach. Go big house.
All right, here we go.
First year in the 3A instead of the 4A. What kind of transition is this going to bring to the program this year?
We're looking forward to it. We've kind of struggled to be competitive the last few years, and our numbers are down. We don't have as many varsity football players as we once had. So the move to the 3A, I think, is going to be something positive for us and positive for our school. It's not just a football move, but it's our entire school has struggled in athletics. So getting all of our programs down where they can compete is going to be important for us.
See that safety is cheating towards the middle right now. Do you see him? Go!
Going into your senior year, what expectations do you have for this team?
I have great expectations, honestly, considering how last year went. It may not have gone the best, but we gave our all and everything, and being moved down to the 3A has really motivated us this year. We've been pushing it everywhere, the weight room, the track, anywhere we can.
I really expect us to go to playoffs. We have a good group of kids. There's not a lot of us, but all of us are willing to do the work and work hard, and we're really willing to give it 100% and go balls out every single play.
Going down to 3A is kind of also giving you guys a lot of new life. You're seeing new teams you're playing against, people you've never gone up against and things like that.
I think so. I think one of the things is, we're not defeated before we step on the field. At times when we would play against the Reeds or the Minogues or the Renos and we're going there, it's almost like we lost before we got on the field just because those guys have been played against them their whole lives and they've gotten beat up by them their whole life. So there's no expectations really for our kids, and they think they can compete, which I think is important. We really don't have any expectations as far as wins, losses, and results. Our main expectation is just that we compete every game and compete every play. With the transition to the 3A, we don't really know what to expect. We haven't competed against these teams before, so it's going to be a challenge, and I think there's really some good teams in that 3A division. You look at Fallon and Fernley and Truckee and Spring Creek, those teams were playoff teams last year, and really, we're going to have to compete against those guys, and I think those teams could compete against any 4A team.
So moving a team from a 4A to the 3A or up or down a division, it's not something we haven't seen before. We saw Sparks do it, and now some success over there with the Railroaders. What do you think about North Valley's?
Well, I think for me, I think it gives them a breath of fresh air. They've always kind of struggled with numbers at North Valley's, and I think if you can go to the 3A, get some success, build some momentum, and to your point, it doesn't mean they can't go back up to 4A at some point. Get some momentum, have some positivity in winning and change the culture a little bit when it comes to that. Play against some smaller schools, and I think this really could be a good move for North Valley.
Out of the blocks, the North Valley's Panthers will take on Dayton out on the road, but then it gets a little tougher. Truckee, Elko, Churchill County, Lowry, and Spring Creek, a bunch of playoff teams in the 3A division. They will be tested early on in this one. Coming up next on Countdown to Kickoff, we honor the Hall of Famer that shares the desk with us. Some memories from Dan Gustin coming up. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff here at Reed High School. It's been an incredible career for the man who shares the desk with us. Honestly, being a broadcaster, there's not many guys in this market you look up to more than Dan Gustin. I had a chance to talk with the man who's going into the University of Nevada Athletics Hall of Fame and caught up with him.
A couple of months ago, you got the call that you were going to be inducted into the University of Nevada Athletics Hall of Fame. What was your first emotion? What went through your head?
It's really funny, the first emotion, because I talked to Rhonda, she gave me the call, and I said to her, did you count all the ballots? Are you sure? I said, I'm not going to tell anybody because you may want to change your mind. She laughed, but I was taken back because, it's something you don't expect. And what an honor to be there with athletes and educators, because when you look at the hall, and I've looked at the members that are on the hall, gone back now and taken a look, I think my dear friend Jerry Dales, who was the team doctor, who you knew very well, and I think we're the only two that were never employed by the university or attended the university. So you never think about it when you're doing it, 33 years of work that you enjoy and love. But really, I was kind of taken back and kind of surprised.
When you look back on your time, Mackey Stadium, Lawlor Event Center, Piccoli Park, is there a place that you can pick out and go, I just miss that place, I loved being there so much? Or like myself as a broadcaster, you kind of go, I'm just looking forward to the next season. I just enjoy being in the moment.
There's so many places that I do revere and love. Mackey Stadium is one of them because I've been there from when they only had the bleachers on the west side, and they've had bleachers or some reasonable facsimile on the right side, and see that grow. I always love going in that press box because there's an energy. When you step in that booth, there's a different kind of energy. And I've been to Lawlor Event Center when Kansas was here and it was sold out. And when North Carolina was here and it was sold out. But it doesn't compare to the decibel level and the excitement of being in an NCAA environment. It's just amazing. I've enjoyed just about every place I have been. Some have been less enjoyable because of facilities, but I look back and I counted this up at one time, and I've done games in 40 different states. And the only reason I didn't get to go to Alaska, and that's the one that I kind of really wanted to go to, was the team was in the 1AA championship game in Georgia, and I couldn't make it back. The team flight did not make it back for me to make the connection to Alaska. But, Brian, when you ask about is there one place that sticks out, there's so many different places over the years and so many different venues, and I've enjoyed so much. I used to enjoy going to Hawaii because fans used to say to me, how long does it take you to go to Hawaii? I said, well, when you prepare for games that you're on the road, if you go to Texas or New Mexico, whatever it is, it takes 2 days, maybe 3 days. Hawaii always takes a week, tongue in cheek because you'll be over there. But there's so many things you enjoy over that career, that period of time, that it's hard to pick out any one. Other than locally, I would say Mackey Stadium is my favorite.
Has it really hit you that this honor is being bestowed upon you? I mean, you're going to be standing in the middle of Mackey Stadium, Chris Alt Field at Mackey Stadium, in front of the crowd at halftime, where they're going to honor you in front of the crowd. Instead of being someone describing the scene, you are going to be part of the scene.
Boy, that's a great question. The last time something like that happened to me was my very final game in, I think it was 2008 at Piccoli Park, and it was a surprise. And my wife and my in-laws were there, and I didn't know that. And I was called to home plate, and Gary Powers presented me with a plaque with a jersey and so on, and I was overwhelmed so much I cried. And you don't know how those emotions are going to hit you, but it's interesting you mentioned Chris Alt Field, because I was actually hired a year before Chris was hired. I was hired in '75 and Chris was hired in '76, and we went through an awful lot together. The trips, as you probably well remember, on the flights, he would sit on the aisle, I'd sit in the middle seat, and who was ever working with me, who was the color person or the analyst at the time, would sit in the window seat. And we did that for so many years. So it's going to be a thrill to be at the stadium, especially in the game. They've got Oregon State. I expect they're going to have a full house or close to that. And just be part of that and remember that as a fond memory. It's going to be something special.
All right, Dan, first of all, congratulations. Incredible honor to get inducted to the Nevada Hall of Fame. I wanted to ask you, as someone that's a play-by-play broadcaster myself as well, for some of the young broadcasters coming up that are coming out of college, or if you're in high school, what advice would you give to them about trying to break into this business?
I've had a couple of guys ask me that, and I think what you're doing, for example, is the right thing. You need to work. It doesn't matter what level you work, but you want to be proficient. You've gotten an opportunity to work some high school, you've worked college, you've worked the AAA baseball now, and you work soccer and the soccer league in Reno. So it's getting experience in doing that, Alex. And I think the other thing I would say to you is always try to work with somebody good, because the better person you work with, the better they are, the better they make you. And I've subscribed to that theory for a long time. The other thing I would tell you is when you're looking to say, okay, where am I going to advance here? Don't be afraid to get an agent. And I'll tell you why, because they're not going to come to the small town looking for you. You need to look for those jobs, but you're doing it right. You're getting experience doing it. You have the ability, you have the enthusiasm, and people look for that. They want to know that somebody's enthusiastic about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Those are qualities that you have. So I think your curve is headed in the right direction. You just have to keep working at it, keep improving, and then find somebody else to help you out.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a pleasure to have you here in Northern Nevada, get a chance to be around and learn from you. I think a lot of the young broadcasters as well can take a lot from the work that you've been able to do. It's been fantastic. Coming up next on Dolan Auto Group's Countdown to Kickoff, we're going to wrap up this show. Our predictions on the High Desert League is next.
Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff. As we wrap up our High Desert League preview show, we'll get to the predictions in just a moment. But Dan, another local business here in Northern Nevada, stepping up to help our schools.
Yeah, Capital Glass, been in business for 50 years in Carson City and Reno. Last year they came to us and said, we'd like to invest in schools. How do we do that? Put a program together, it's called the Capital Investment, and schools took advantage of it. We had more than 45 entries. I want to tell you who got the grants from Capital Glass. Churchill County High School, Dayton, Galena, North Valley's High School, they got 2 grants, matter of fact. Pershing County got a grant, Reed Volleyball got a grant, Spanish Springs got a grant, Sparks High School, and finally Yerington. So 10 grants given out last year by Capital Glass. Their whole theme is we give back. We encourage you to go to foxreno.com, look at the tab for Friday Night Rivals. The form is there, you can fill it out, you can apply for a grant. It's that easy, and then the grants will be distributed late next year.
Very nice. As we wrap things up here, guys, real quick, your High Desert League pick. Alex, I'm going to let you take it first.
I think this is the most wide open this division has been in years. I think you could make a case for a couple teams. I have a hard time picking against Reed until they are just not the champions, because every single year they find a way with different personnel. They've lost great players in the past before. I love what Tony Amantia did last year with this team. I think despite being younger, I'm still going to take them to take this division.
Dan.
Well, you're right about that, because they don't rebuild, they just reload. There's no doubt about it. The team I like this year is McQueen. because of what I said earlier. They've got guys back at all levels. They want to get back to those glory years. They have some impact players. They could surprise a lot of people.
Someday somebody is going to stop doubting Dan Avancino and the Reno Huskies and what Dan Avancino does. We call him the mad scientist. What did he do last year? Oh, only lost one game, and that was the Northern Championship to Reed. So I'm going to say my dark horse in the High Desert League is the Reno Huskies. I want to thank you very much for being with us. Alex and Dan, appreciate you being here. Next time around, we are going to preview the Sierra League, and we're also going to check out maybe the top player in the state, and that's Cade McNamara on his way to Michigan. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching Dolan Auto Group's Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Sonic, America's Drive-In, your local high school sports on My 21 TV.